So when I was in the county jail and I was just like going through it, and it's like when I used to be in church, I rarely paid attention. You know, I was there because I had to be there. And all these like stories and scriptures was just dropping into my spirit. Like I was quoting them in my spirit. And it was just like, I just would hear like, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you in your darkest times, turn to God. Like so many different random sermons and so many seeds that they were sowing that I wasn't even paying attention to or receiving. And they was just dropping in my spirit. And it was like, come to me all who are weary. So I was just like, so many things was dropping, and I just picked up. I got a Bible and I picked it up. And those 10 months when I was in the county, I read my Bible cover to cover twice. So it was just when I was like at a place where I didn't know what was going on, and it was just so much confusing. Like God allowed those seeds to start sprouting, and it was just scriptures dropping in my spirit. And I just automatically reached for the Bible because it was like I was outside of myself. I needed some help. Like I felt like I was losing my mind. I didn't know what was going on. And I reached for that Bible.
Do you think that because I know like you were saying that a lot of people try to hold you accountable online. That's just the nature of the internet, right? I've been on there long enough to know that a lot of that, right? They gonna say whatever they gonna say. You gonna get people that support you, gonna get people that hate you. You gonna
The
get people
support
that
definitely outweighed it though.
of course it always is, right? Let me ask you a question. When it comes to personal responsibility, because you were so young, do you believe that? Because naturally, we gonna own our situation because we got to go through it. But do you think that to an extent, your community, your parents, or your environment, do you think that you were failed at certain points in your life that wind up putting you in this position in the first place that you never should have been in
Yes.
as a young girl?
Yes. Yes to all of that. I feel like everything failed me. And not necessarily in a pointing fingers like it's your fault type of fail. Because most of the things that failed me in my life was not intentional. Like I feel like my mother failed me, but I don't think she intentionally failed me.
Yeah.
I feel like my environment failed me, but they weren't out to get me, but it did fail me. For one, like my father not being there, like for the longest, I would never admit that it had any effect on me because it's like, you weren't there, like you ain't getting no credit for nothing. But the absence of my father, like it's so hard for me to trust a man. Like, and then
Even
I
today?
ended up, yes. And then even when I got in that relationship with my co-defendant and then that happened. So, it's always been hard for me to trust a man. Like, and, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 19. So it was just like I just always had trust issues. And when it comes to just the way I was raised and the way I was brought up, there are so many things that I had no idea about until I went to prison because I did a lot of reading. So I learned about credit while I was in prison. I learned about the lifespan of $1 in the black community. I learned how powerful the black spending power is. Like I learned so many things, and I wouldn't have knew none of that coming from that environment, you know? And it's like, when I look back, there wasn't many opportunities. There wasn't a lot of people who looked like me that was succeeding. So it was like just a big environment of people who just going nowhere. And it was like, that's what I was looking at. I was always good in school. My mama did not play about grades and education, and I was accepted to 5 colleges and university coming out of high school. And I didn't go to college when I graduated because I graduated at May before I caught my charge. And I didn't end up going to college because my sister was in prison.
Whoa. Okay, so wait a minute, let me back up. How many sisters, brothers?
On
How
my
many
mama's
siblings?
side, she has 4 kids. I'm the youngest. It's boy, girl, boy, girl.
And your
Out of the
sister was in
4,
prison before you caught your charge? Mm-hmm. Okay.
while I caught my charge, she was in prison.
Okay.
Out of my mama 4 kids, the last 3, the ones from my daddy, went to prison. My oldest brother's never been to prison. But me and my brother was in prison at the same time. I got out before he did. But my
Your
sister,
brother was in prison?
the one, not my oldest one, the one in between me and my sister. We was in prison together.
Baby
We was
girl.
writing each other back and forth in prison.
Baby girl.
Yeah. So, so my sister, she was in prison and she had 2 little girls, and my nieces are that's my lifeline. One of them lives with me up here in Jacksonville. So
Well, let me back up for a minute. Do you think that part of the reason why you were the way that you were as far as not having any fear, aside from the fact that, you know, God may have had a covering over your life or whatever, so on and so forth. Do you think that part of that was also that you were conditioned to accept your fate based off the fact that your brother, your sister, your mom was in jail at the time? You know, like, do you think that that influenced how it is that you've seen things
No.
at all?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
No. I think everything around you has an influence. So probably somewhere where I can't see it myself. But the fact that my mama, my sister, and my brother had been to prison didn't make me want to go. It didn't make me feel like this is my lot in life.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Maybe somewhat down the line, but I can't pull it out myself and say that it did.
When you were locked up, right? And of course you had it in your mind of what it is that you had to do. Did you have to get into fights? Did you have to get into those type of situations at all?
I ended up, out of the 8.5 years I was in prison, I only fought 3 times. Now, before I went to prison, like, if I went a week and a half without fighting, like, that was a congratulations to me.
Yeah.
I fought all the time. Like, that was the only way I knew how to express myself. So 3 times in 8.5 years is damn good.
So, okay, so let me back up one more time now. Because I want to save a little bit of this for the next time that I come here, because I plan on coming here again soon, just because of you.
Oh.
By the way. But do you think that, because it's almost like what it is that I hear communicating from you right now is that it sounds like prison might have saved your life.
It did.
You know what I'm saying? Because we look at it and we say, well, man, 10 years is a long time, and 7 years is a long time, and all of that. But then at the same time, based off of what it is that you're telling me as far as, you know, what your environment was like, small town USA, fighting every day, the things that you learned and the things that you experienced, it's almost seemed like, man, that might have been the best thing for you at the time. And I don't like to, I'm not going to wish that on anybody, right?
I 100% understand where you're coming from. And I ain't gonna say prison. It did save my life. I'm not gonna say the idea of what the state feels prison is and the rehabilitation that they feel, because the rehabilitation that I went through had nothing to do with the department. Let's just get that out there, because they do not rehabilitate. It was just me and God working with me. But it definitely saved my life, because you see this scar right here. Mm-hmm. I got hit in the face with a bat by a girl I don't even know. I was fighting her friend.
And that's on the streets.
That's on the streets.
So the scar right here on your nose was from the streets. That wasn't from prison.
No. And I didn't even know the girl I ended up fighting. And then her friend, you know, went and popped the trunk and grabbed the bat. Didn't see the girl. I was 17.
See, I can't imagine. I got a daughter that's 14, about to turn 15. And I just can't imagine her having to deal with a lot of the things that you wound up dealing with.
I was so angry. Like, I was so angry. And it was just, fighting was easy. That's not the only time I got hit with a bat. I got assaulted with a bat. I've been hit in the temple, the back of the head, my arm, my leg. It was a dude that did that. I've been jumped by 8 girls at one time. I've been jumped by 5 girls at one time. I've been hit with a car. I went to people's house and knocked on their door. Like, I have tried to fight people and bust every window out their car while they were sitting in it because they wouldn't get out. So prison definitely, like, it slowed me all the way down. Like, the person, when I think about who I would be and what my life would look like if I had never been to prison, it scares me.